Dawnguard's done by this point, yet it's not finished. Let's go back and accept Harkon's gift to, get the second half of this story. Oh, shit. So now, we're Lords of Vampire. Pretty cool. We're not as pimped out as Harkon is, but there's still a lot of detail going on. Again, I'm not going over the gameplay or mechanics of this thing, though I will say this. It has roleplay written all over it. You shouldn't have done that, would-be assassin. And now, to reveal my true form. Behold, my terrible countenance, mortal. Is it not terrible to behold? Give my regards to the Night Mother. Take that, Brad. Already, we start off strong with the Volkihar questline, as Harkon sends you off to power up an eldritch artifact he just had lying around. Whereas with the Dawnguard, you're just picking up sticks by comparison. And more than that, the lead-up is also markedly better. There is some honest, actual interaction and discourse going on between the members of Clan Volkihar.
Excuse us. I need to fetch the Bloodstone Chalice.
The Chalice? Why? What are you up to, Garan?
Lord Harkon's orders, Orthioth. Calm yourself. Our friend here has been ordered to fill the chalice.
Really?
Indeed. He's off to Redwater Den.
Well then, best of luck to you.
It truly feels like I'm getting involved with something this time around.
Want my advice? Avoid getting wrapped up in Vingalmo's schemes. He's after the throne, and he'll kill anyone that gets in his way.
Ah, some intrigue and whatnot seems to be going down. And it only gets better, as all of this setup actually leads to something. Whoa, what are you two assholes doing here? Those jackasses back at the Dawnguard couldn't even get their foot out the door.
Yeah, too bad. Lord Harkon's new favorite. Dead so soon after joining the family.
Seriously? I'm getting backstabbed already? By both of those asshats who just got done telling me to watch out for the other one? Well, after I'm done murdercating the two of you, me and them are going to exchange some pleasantries. Viagra, or whatever the balls your name is, heard you were starting shit. How about you and me settle matters between us right now as gentlemen? Oh, I see how it is then. Nose to the wind and nothing to say. Both your hands are clean, am I right? I expected as much from a pansy elf. I'll deal with you some other time then.
Quake at your approach.
For now, I know a proper Nord such as yourself, Orthioth, won't bitch out on me.
Do you need something?
Are you shitting me?
Well, of course they did. Welcome to the politics of Lord Harkon's court.
Well, that's fantastic. Where are they? All that setup, all that tilling of the earth, and it's used for naught. That's such bullshit. This is worse than with the Dawnguard. At least there, none of the interesting plot premises were truly offered, I guess, to begin with. So I accept that quite a bit of my disappointment is on me. But here, they're not just offering good ideas and simply choosing not to run with them. No, they're throwing them right in your face before kicking it in once for good measure and then taunting you after the fact. And the Volkihar characters? What characters? There's no Serene or Florentis analogs or parallels. The only Volkihar with any presence is Garan, and that's really because he talks the most. Vingalmo and Orthioth, much like the Five of Shadowman, have an implied importance, yet end up being completely irrelevant. They don't even have anything else to say after their first encounter, with a whopping 4 dialogue options between the two of them. Don't let your writing fingers get cramped there, Bethesda. Vin gets a bit more to say later on for a side quest, but it's nothing meaningful. Had these two just been there taking up space, I wouldn't have cared as much. I'd be disappointed, but I would not be salty on the matter. But after that shit at Redwater, in this constant backdrop of the politics of Lord Harkon's court, to then just leave it all hanging in the abyss as it was, I understand that several were not impressed with Skyrim's story on the whole, which Dawnguard, especially with the Volkihar side, as you've seen,
Yes.
initially looks to be trying to cater to, before going, lol, nope, made you buy. As of now, from all I've seen, I honestly believe that Bethesda was trying to give the middle finger to these people. I mean, seriously, what the hell happened? Remember, I said that it felt like the Dawnguard storyline was just tacked on, to give this expansion an artificial sense of wholeness. And near the end of the Redwater quest, I was all but certain of this. It goes without saying, not anymore. Turns out, there's even less to the Volkihar than there is the Dawnguard, for crying out loud. Oh, there's plenty implied to be going on, but the moment you stop to look at any of it, you'll find nothing there. For the rest of Clan Volkihar, they're all just pretty much carbon copies of one another, which isn't dissimilar from the Dawnguard's minor members, and I suppose there's a bit more variation to them. You know, with the latter, they're all pretty much, oh my god, vampires, kill them, but not much. The only one of them that really stands out is this fella. He's an absolute
Never is
tool.
required. I'm happy to do whatever is asked of me. I only wish to be useful.
You're the only one I've met so far, buddy. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. The Volkihar side quests are actually pretty good. Some still better than others, of course. One in particular has you framing the Dawnguard for a murder, and if you wish to go that extra mile, potentially deprive yourself of a resource later on for that extra gain now. Though there's ways around this if you know how the stores work. Still, pretty good conceptually and in execution. In fact, most of them are. Just wish more might have come out of them. The only real character in this story is back at your side soon enough, as Harkon sends you forth to bring back the Moth Priest, Dixion, again, from the exact same location. Yeah, this is why it doesn't really matter who you side with. It's all the exact same after the first quest, aside from the opportunity for a few terrible jokes.
Unless I'm seeing things, you're starting to glimmer.
Well, you see.
This is what I am.
There's no point going back over it all again. Though there are a few things we missed the first time around. You dare to challenge a Lord of Vampire? Very well, fool. I do want to revisit Rother right quick. I feel as if I didn't give his fight its due credit. Boss battles were something rather lackluster in Skyrim, to which Rother and Harkon were going to address. Both have a rather high level scaling, with Rother himself clocking in at an impressive level 75, 15 more than Harkon. So, this time around, let's check to see how this battle plays out at his cap, and for added fun, let's crank up the difficulty while we're at it. Outstanding. The only thing left to go over is Harkon. I'm a writer of sorts myself. I put out a few pieces and have received some really positive feedback from elite writing circles. So I think I know a thing or two about that which I speak of. And what I'm saying now is that Harkon just isn't a strong character. He's middling at best and only in a certain light, which ends up shining more brightly on someone else. Now, from what I can discern, there's three aspects to Harkon that they were going for, all of which are failed to varying degrees. From least to greatest, we have the big evil bad guy, which out of the three is the one they got sort of right. He certainly comes off as a megalomaniac asshat, but there's a particular flaw here. Not helped out by the fact that Harkon just sits around most of the time. This has to deal with Rother. He just ends up overshadowing Harkon. His setup is better, his motivation actually clear and even relatable to an extent, if churlish. And this is all with even less screen time than Harkon, while simultaneously sitting around doing bugger all like Harkon, which you'll find is where most of his weakness is derived from, a complete lack of any meaningful involvement. With Werther, everything is just done so right comparatively. The story still works without him, whereas if Harkon were to be removed, it wouldn't. And Werther's actual fight is the weaker of the two. He's essentially just another hostile mage you can run into. Yet, still, it feels like the former was the true evil you were facing all along, and Harkon's merely the falling action cleanup. Next, there's the estranged father angle, which is perfectly understandable. They wasted no time getting this one rolling. The initial meeting with Harkon is done very well. It helps the estranged father trade out while simultaneously playing off the megalomaniac big evil bad guy. He shows more concern for the Elder Scroll than he does his daughter. She has to prod and shame him in front of his own court to get him to acknowledge her. So, what's the issue? Well, this is all there is to it. Serana and Harkon don't interact again with one another until the end. So, all we have for build up until that time is her pining away after days gone by, which again helps her, but not him. And in that interim, he himself exhibits no hints of ever being the father Serana claims he was. You're simply left without any doubt as to how things will play out and why. Doubtless, this was to make the climax more powerful and profound. You're killing your new BFF's own father with her at your side, but I'm just not feeling it. I didn't even bother to bring this up with the DG, as you just scarcely know who the fuck this guy even is, and after rolling with him on the Volkihar side, it still feels like that is so. Most of your insight and assessment of the man comes from others telling you what to think of him. Mostly Serana and Valerica, with Garan helping to a degree. And the manner in which this is done does more to help their own characterizations than it does his. It's a strange, if not lazy way of doing things. Last, and my personal favorite, Bro Tier Vampire Savior, which has the most chops behind it and is absolute bollocks. I mentioned before that Valerica posits the idea of the vampires being a people. You're probably familiar with this, it's that bog standard vampires are a kindred spirit trite. It's more pertinent this time around rolling as a vampire yourself. You'll find it is actually reflected in-game by some of the other vampires. Not significantly so, it's scarcely even surface level, but it is there. You know who doesn't reflect this? Harkon.
You are here.
He does say a few things to support his savior shtick, but he also says, and more importantly, does things to detract from it. At the end, Harkon reveals just how little he thinks of you, even though you yourself are lords of vampire, and he has such disdain for the rest of vampire kind that he even lets his own clan know exactly how shit he thinks they are.
You contracted a disease, perhaps, but you are no true vampire.
He just shit-talked almost everyone in this room. The man clearly thinks the lot of them are but chopped liver. I was just gonna peg this all up as self-serving megalomania. Valerica herself more or less says that the only reason this is even brought up is so Harkon feels okay for screwing over his own daughter. But they really seem to have tried pushing this as one of the critical driving forces behind his character. Notes must have gotten mixed up somewhere, or they were just using too many broad strokes. Oh well. The ending to the Volkihar side of Dawnguard shows exactly how piddling the depth of its content is. On the Dawnguard side, you don't become Supreme High Leader at the questline's conclusion of the Dawnguard, as you do with most other factions. Izran was just too awesome saucy, couldn't be killed off, I guess. Here you do, but it's only in spirit. Garan's the only one that acknowledges the change in leadership, and the only thing that comes of that is he offers to clear out the way to the backyard for whatever reason. No one else even says anything.
I leave politics to others. I saw the castle.
Yeah, that's me, bitch. Why don't you stop stuffing your face for 2 minutes? You know, I don't think she's moved once this entire time. Neither has this fool. Not even your two supposed antagonists from way back at the beginning, having gone through all that effort to backstab you and double-cross one another, have anything to say about you taking the throne both of them coveted. In fact, they still have nothing else to say. They couldn't even bother to make them a little bit salty over that, just to add a little bit of much-needed characterization and agency, which the entire Volkihar side is woefully lacking in. The Volkihar side is especially devoid of any character and all development. This is all that there is to this story. Just, wow. You can go wipe out the Dawnguard if you want, but it plays out like any number of side quests. It's a total afterthought. At this point, all we're just left with is having to play pretend and make up your own ending.
Serana, your own father.
And now, you have fallen, Lord Harkon. Excuse me, former Lord Harkon. There can only be one Lords of Vampires. All of you are my bitches now. Thank you for your time, folks, and to those of you who have begun to subscribe already. I didn't think I'd start to get any kind of traction so soon. I hope to see you once more for my next offering. Until then, beautiful friends,